Good morning and welcome to episode 1 from the Ginger Project. Today we are going to be starting with slip stitches and chain stitches, and these are the fundamentals of learning anything crochet related. So what you're first going to want to do is get a skein of yarn, and I usually get Red Heart because they have so many colors, and a lot of people are like, well, that's cheap yarn, whatever. It's easy access and it's great for beginners like ourselves. So I picked Pool and I just thought it was super pretty. There's a lot on the labels, so let's dive into that real quick. So this tells you where to pull it from. You got this little guy, which is gonna be underneath here, which is actually sticking out right there, and I don't want to use him yet. And then there's this one, which is the center pull, and I've already pulled it a little bit because of what we're going to be working on. And then you have these guys. So this is going to tell you how thick your yarn is. So if you peel it apart, you will see that let's find the end. It's really twisted. I'm going to show you there a little bit. It's twisted together really tightly, but if you unwind it, you don't have to do this. I'm just showing you. There's going to be 4 little pieces that are tightly wound together, and that's what's going to give it its thickness. So this kind of yarn, size or medium 4, is really great for blankets because it's just super thick. I've made lots of blankets using Red Heart, and they are very durable. They withstand years and years of wear and tear, so I love it. This is going to tell you, try to get a little bit close up. This is going to tell you the suggested hook size, and down here it's going to give you some gauges on how big it's going to be with that hook size using even tension, loose, moderately loose stitches and stuff like that. This will tell you what to use if you're knitting, and then these are for washing and laundering anything with this yarn. Acrylic just means it's technically made out of plastic, so it is really flammable, so just be careful when you're putting it in the dryer. A lot of times when you're making something out of this, you just want to line dry it, just laying it flat on some towels, and it just makes it easier. So let's go ahead and get started. If you have your yarn, go ahead and just push it to the side. You don't really need it right now. Pull out a little bit from the skein that you're working with, and this is going to be called your working yarn because it is currently what you are working on and it is coming directly out of the skein. So you are going to find the end, which is right here, and we are going to do a slip knot. This is something you have to do every single time you start a project. So we are going to get our trusty hook that is big enough so you guys can see everything. You're going to have your right hand holding the end of it and your left hand holding the working yarn. You are going to put this side underneath the left side. So I just use my fingers to help me guide and just go underneath. And then you can see right there that it is underneath. I pinch it to hold it, and then you're going to take your hook and you're going to go in, under, and then this is called yarning over. You grab it and then you just pull it through. You let go with your little pincher fingers right here, and then you pull it tight. So we're going to do that one more time. I'm just going to undo it. You're going to take the end of your yarn, you're going to go underneath the working yarn like so. I'm just going to pinch it with my left hand just to hold it. You're going to go through the top to underneath. You're going to yarn over, and there's 2 different ways. So the first way I did this way is yarning over, or you can just go in front and then you pull it through, let go, and tighten it. And then you can let go of the end and then use this one and just kind of pull it tight. You don't want it so tight that you can't move your hook. You want to still be able to move your hook a little bit, and then if you need to loosen it, you just take this end and just kind of pull a little and then pull away with your hook to get a little bit of a bigger hole in there. You don't want it too big because that's going to make your stitches really loose. So just try to get in the habit of having it fairly close. And I'm just going to loosen a little bit so there's a little bit of give in there. So that is a slip knot, and that is something you're going to have to do in every single project that you start. So go ahead and practice that a few times, and then we will get started with our chain stitches. Okay, so now that we're back, excuse me, and you have practiced a few of your slip knots, now we are going to practice chaining. So this is really, really simple, and you can do hundreds of these. Sometimes you'll have to do hundreds of them when you're working on blankets, but it's very useful to practice this a lot, especially when you're working on your tension. So some people crochet too tight and some people crochet too loose, and that can have an impact on the size of the item that you're making, and it can also create a lot of holes if you're making like toys and things. So when you're chaining, it is really simple. You're just going to yarn over, and I'll do a couple with each way. So we're going to go across the back and over first. So you will yarn over, pull through. And I'll try to get a little closer. So yarn over, pull through. And this is chaining. Yarn over, pull through. And you can see we're getting little chains right here, which are so cute. We are going to yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. So now you can see we have a little bit of a chain going on here. Sorry about that. So I'm going to pull my hook out a little bit so I can show you guys a little bit easier here. So each chain is going to have a left side and a right side. So we have a left and a right here, so that's 1. A left and a right here, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. And this is your working chain. And since it doesn't have a closed set yet, it doesn't count. So we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I hope you can see those as well as I can. And so we're going to flip it over, and we're going to look at the back side here. And so when you are going to turn your work and work on the back side of it, you're going to see these little humps right here. So there's 1, 2, 3. That one's a little buried. 4, and then 5. So a lot of people, instead of going under these 2, they go under the hump in the back, and either way works. Whatever works best for you when you're working on your project is totally fine. There's no right or wrong way, as long as you're getting the same ending product. So now we're gonna chain 5 more, going using the other way to yarn over. And this is how I do it, honestly, and it really doesn't matter how you do it. So we're going to yarn over, 1, yarn over, 2, yarn over, 3, yarn over, 4, yarn over, 5. And you're actually doing a lot more of the wrist movement here. I don't know if you saw the difference in that. But you can see that since I don't do it this way as often, how much looser it is from when I switched right here and did it the other way, and see how it's a lot more snug. You can definitely see a huge difference in that. So just do whatever feels best for you. Try not to switch back and forth if you can help it, because as you can see, that made such a huge difference. And if I were to turn my work and keep going this way, or it would be going that way, it would not turn out so well. So you just want to pick whichever one works best for you. So I'm going to undo this, and I'm just going to do 10 across using one method. So we are going to chain 10. And if you need a pause, that's totally fine, or you can just work with me, and we are going to chain 10 right now. So yarn over, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now we have our 10 stitches, and our little one is not looking so great. So I am going to redo this. Okay, So I totally fixed that because I did not like the way that looks. So now we have our 10 beautiful stitches, and let's count them to make sure that we are correct. We got a left and a right here. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then we got our working yarn, so that one doesn't count. So if a pattern says chain 10, you're always going to do however many it says plus 1. So let me get a piece of paper just so you can kind of see what that's going to look like if you're looking at patterns. And we are not going to be reading patterns anytime soon, so don't you worry about that. I just want you guys to kind of see it. So it'll say chain, CH is the abbreviation for chain, and then it'll say 10, and then you're always going to have a plus 1 because this guy is going to be your turning chain. Okay, and if you don't have that turning chain, then you're going to have, let's say this is what you just crocheted. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you just turn, you're going to lose this stitch because you're turning it, and then your first stitch is going to end up here, and that's number 9. So you need that extra stitch right here, which is going to be your turning chain, and that way your first stitch will be on the 10th one. So when you are working your way back this way, you will have 10 full stitches. So you'll have turning chains here, and then you'll have turning chains over here, and you'll see that in patterns as well. I'll try to find one and link it, but hopefully this wasn't too confusing. So let's go back to our 10 stitches. Okay, so we have, our 10 chains, and then we are going to chain one more. So we have 10 on here already. That was crooked. And then one more. And we can't really turn it because it's the beginning, so we're just gonna flip it to the back. Excuse me. So this is our left and our right here, and that's our turning chain, so we're gonna completely ignore that guy and pretend it's not there. So I'm gonna cover it with my fingers so you can't even see it. And we're gonna look for our little humps on the back, and I hope you can see those a little bit. And our first hump is gonna be right here. So we are going to stick our little hook in there, and sometimes you kind of have to coax it in there. So now you have your working yarn right there. You're in the stitch right here, and then we are going to gradually merge into slip stitches while we're doing this. So you will yarn over, you're going to pull through that one, and you're gonna pull through the second one, and that is a slip stitch. So let's find our next hump, which is gonna be right here, and we are going to wiggle it in there. We're gonna yarn over, we're gonna pull through the hump, we're gonna pull through our loop, and that is another slip stitch. And slip stitches are usually used as finishing stitches. But they can also be used for really nice, tight, textured, stretchy projects as well. So let's go all the way to the end. So we've already done 2, and let's go under the hump. We're going to yarn over, pull through, and there we go. So you can kind of see, this is the first one that we did, and our turning chain is actually down there, so you don't even see it. So we got 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to go under the hump, we're going to pull through, we're going to pull through 4, we're going to under the hump, yarn over, pull through, under the hump, pull through, under the hump, yarn over, pull through, and look how nice and finished that looks. And it's also pretty stretchy. We're going to go under the hump, yarn over, pull through, under the hump, pull through, oh, under the hump. We're back to our square one, pull through, and anytime I set it down, I usually like to pull up a little bit of loop. That way, if like my yarn decides to jump off the table, it's not going to completely destroy all the work I just did. So now we are going to try and count these and make sure I did it right. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. They're kind of spread out. Let me see if I can find a little smaller hook in here. And I'll just try to lift it so you can kind of see. This is that first one, and now you can kind of see there we go. Now you can kind of see that last one right there. And that is how you do a row of slip stitches. So now we are going to turn. Now that we have that and we can actually turn, it'll be so much easier. So let's go back in here, and we are going to chain 1, because this is our turning chain. This is essential, or your work is going to start having like a diagonal thing going on because you're losing a stitch every single time you chain. So this is a turning chain, and it just keeps your numbers correct. So now when you're going in, you're going to look for that left and that right piece, and then I always use my finger to kind of drag it onto the hook if I need to, especially with slip stitches, because usually they're a little bit tighter because you are doing that finishing look. So you're going to go under, yarn over, pull through, and so now your turning chain, it's going to have like a little bubble right there, or a little bump. Once you get pretty far, you won't really notice it, but it will be there. So we are going to go under both loops. We got one, and then we got to look for that other one. It's right there. We got to get it on there. Oh, there we go. And then yarn over, pull through, and pull through. So you got 2 stitches right there, and then let's just go to the end and see what it's gonna look like. And it will be a little bit slanted, and that is totally okay. And if your work is curling right now, that is also okay. That is typical for anything that you are doing strict slip stitches on. It wants to curl on itself because it's made to be more of a tight stitch, because again, it is a finishing stitch. So now we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we got 5 more. Let's just cruise through those real quick. You don't want to be crocheting too tight, because then it'll be really hard to get into these stitches. And I'm using a much bigger hook than I normally do, so you guys can see. But even I am having a little bit of a struggle to get these in there. So it's a good thing I didn't clip my nails yet so I can get it in there. Oh, there we go. And I think we got 2 more to go. So actually, I'm going to pause right here real quick. So when you're looking at this, it's on, if I'm holding it straight like this, it's kind of facing the front, this row right here. But then when I'm holding it here, this one is going this way now. If I'm holding it straight, it's facing this way. And then when you turn it, it's going to be facing that way. So when you're working with slip stitches and you drop it and you don't know where you started, and you think that you're going this way because, you know, you're new, so you don't know, hey, I forgot to finish those last 2 stitches. I don't know which way I'm supposed to be going. When you're working on slip stitches, your work that you just finished is kind of going to be facing you in order to tell you that, hey, you need to keep going to your left because your work is still facing you. It's not facing away from you. So let's get these last 2. And This one is usually a little trickier because it's just a tad bit tighter. So squeeze that in there, pull through, and pull through. I pulled it out so I can kind of show you guys. And look how stretchy that is. And then once you start, and like, look at these stitches. They are so close together and so tight knit. It is so nice. You can kind of pull them apart a little bit to kind of see what's going on in there. But this almost gives it like a knit feel because it's so soft and squishy, and I love this. It's very time consuming, but it's great practice for when you are just learning out or just starting out. So that is going to be the end of lesson 1. So feel free to practice this as much as you want. Just keep going as long as you want. Make a little scarf to go around your neck if you live in somewhere that's really cold right now, or you can make a long one and then you can stitch it together at the other end, since you have a nice little finished end right here. And it could be a coffee cozy or go around your cup or whatever. It's, you know, the possibilities are endless. So thank you for hanging out with me, and I will see you on the next episode from the Ginger Project.